Maybe you like to listen to legal people or legal analysis or lawyers talk about a particular case. Well, this is my version of having legal conversations about actions being done by the state of Massachusetts, specifically the DA in the Karen Read case. What I do is I present a legal argument or fact and situation to AI. AI is a machine that collectively has the ability to pull in all of the statutes, the principles of the law, the elements, and basically present the facts to the issue. If you've ever been to law school, you would know it's called IRAC: issue, rule, analysis, conclusion. Although it is an AI app and can be subject to error, and it recognizes it doesn't make conclusion, it can present the possibilities of criminal behavior of Hank Brennan. So the facts are that Karen Read has accused the county and state troopers of corruption, falsifying of evidence, and that was presented and accepted by a juror. Jurors have come forth and said, hey, we think that the police were sketchy and various things, and we believe she's innocent. Since then, Hank Brennan, the DA, has come forward and actively promoted and encouraged, whether he is like basically saying, oh, and all those trolls who is harassing a juror, accusing her of jury misconduct, well, I support their behavior. Even though he's not saying those specific words, Hank Brennan is actually engaging in public promotion of harassment of jurors. And that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to break down how he's doing that. So here are my questions, and this is going to be maybe, I don't know, half an hour. So get a cup of coffee and please give a listen if you're interested in justice, okay? So this is what I said to AI. Two more things I said in his comments to the public, meaning Hank Brennan. Let me make sure I'm starting at the right place, because I may have accidentally lost my place in this chat. Yes, I did. Okay, so I presented to AI, and AI will bring out all the statutes of how my argument is correct or not correct, or whether or not he was actually committing a crime, or etc., etc. So starting with this, okay, I said, this is about people online. This is about two things. People online openly harassing a juror. Can they be charged under juror intimidation and harassment, which is a federal charge of 18 U.S.C. 1503? And two, can Hank Brennan be investigated and also charged for criminal acts in what he is currently doing? And here's how I start. There's about 3 different presentations to this AI to get to the conclusion that we get to. I said, okay, I have a question regarding abuse of a juror, specific acts, and potential FBI to charge under 18 U.S.C. 1503. A juror was asked by one media person why did she come forward. She said some things were being said that were not true. And in the Karen Read case, that juror also wanted the family of John O'Keefe to know that they really felt bad for them and they hope they can get justice. But she also said she wants to set the record straight and ask the media not to make up things that are not true. She literally asked the media to stop making up things. She wasn't accusing the person who was interviewing of being the one to make those accusations, but it's almost like they lured the jurors out by making up things about them. They had to go public and defend themselves. Please understand, jurors, their faces and their names are not known to mainstream media, but they're known in that local community in small towns. When there's a big murder trial, people that's been inside that courtroom or saw them coming out of the courtroom, they know who the jurors are. So locally, they're kind of already known, right? So they were almost on the defense position when they started making up these rumors. So people could say, oh, well, you're the one you went on the media, so you made yourself known. That's not exactly true, right? So bear with me. So they wanted to know that they felt bad for him, but police asked them to stop making up stuff. So their names can and were getting circulated locally while not on the media. This is a form of harassment of jurors. There were people who were just making up stuff. They call this one lady from Brazil, just saying horrible things about her, her family, her children, insulting her, saying she wasn't even a citizen, accusing her of jury misconduct. One guy is Jewish, and he was specifically targeting her because she's pro-Palestine. I'm just like, okay, you're Jewish. I could get why you could be offended by people that are pro-Palestine, but I'm personally pro-Israel, but I'm not gonna not like this woman because she's pro-Palestine having their own state. I mean, that's just ridiculous. But he was very, very vicious to her and has a live stream that's running 24 hours 7. And he just goes on and on and on. And a lot of people were being very disrespectful about her ethnicity and just a bunch of nonsense, basically. But specifically what Hank Brennan did to harass the jurors is what I'm going to get into. So their names, okay, so multiple jurors have come forward, 3 who do not show their faces, and a malicious campaign against one juror who happens to be pro-Palestine began around the clock 24-hour 7 live streams. Now, while this is going on another platform, there's people posting about how there's going to be a meeting on the 25th of June. They're literally trying to accuse this juror of juror misconduct and try to get the verdict thrown out, right? So, did Hank Brennan actively promote and encourage those people attacking this juror? He made false allegations, showed images of her with her husband, exposing his identity to the world. One so-called there was also a journalist who began malicious behavior toward her. Basically, some commenters would even make ethnic insults, falsely say things about her citizenship. She's been here since 2010, and one guy inadvertently lied on her and said she's only been here for a year. And I'm like, maybe you should actually research before you make comments, okay? Be a little bit responsible, because she's been here since 2010. She couldn't even be a citizen. She just got here last year. I mean, this is so stupid, right? The things people say, especially on a juror that's already under attack. Anyway, so they say horrible things about her, her children. Yet Hank Brennan allowed this behavior while claiming, when he came forward, when these jurors started speaking and saying that they didn't trust the police, they didn't trust specific witnesses, a lot of very specific questions was asked of them, and basically saying that the jurors was infected by Karen Read supporters, that they couldn't come to a conclusion, they were influenced. And the problem with him saying that is, one, it's not true. The jurors, when they come forward and say specific questions, when they're asked specific questions, that they were not in any way affected by crowds outside, that they go into detail how they came to each and every decision. They don't have to do that, but they went into great detail discussing all the ways that they fairly came to their conclusion. After these jurors say those things, Hank Brennan, the DA, comes forward and he starts basically undermining the jurors' comments, basically calling them a liar publicly, saying that they were affected, like they couldn't come to a rational decision, who basically came to the same conclusion, that validating all of Karen Read supporters who have all this time have said they believe that there's police corruption, that they believe that she's innocent. And so now that the jurors have come to that conclusion and have openly to the world pretty much said the same things, okay, he's outraged. So he's basically now making accusations that the juror was compromised. And meanwhile, simultaneously, you got people maliciously saying things about the jurors. And then you have 2 candidates running to replace the DA. So he's in the hot seat and he's attacking the jurors. And this is a crime, okay? Hank Brennan allowed such malicious abuse of jurors, while claim the state witnesses were being harassed, and if proven acts alleged are true, could charges of juror harassment under 18 U.S.C. 1503 be charged against that live stream, the harassers? Could the FBI investigate Hank Brennan for biased public comments about alleged harassment of state witnesses while ignoring the abuse of jurors? Now, the AI is going to give an answer, and then I'm going to continue to add detail, and then we'll get to the final conclusion of, oh yeah, we got problems. So he's going to break it down, though, what the actual ethical violations of an attorney is in criminal violations, potentially, and the duty of the FBI to investigate. This is important for people who are continuing to seek justice in this case. And if anybody has felt intimidated by Hank Brennan's comments, or if they have been posting online and he's trying to make people feel intimidated for continuing to say that the witnesses who have been protected, not only protected, they pressed charges against a blogger for specific things, but basically they were witnesses and should have been defendants. Their house should have been investigated for a murder having taken place there, and so that never took place, okay? And so now they're no longer protected as witnesses because they are now, the trial's over, so now people conclude, and the jurors have said, we think that he died in that house, okay? So juror harassment under 18 U.S.C. 1503. Now, this is different than the Massachusetts state harassment statute. This is federal. I'm going for the federal statutes. Could charges of juror harassment under 18 U.S.C. be charged against that live streamer and harassers if proven true? This is the answer. Yes. Based on your description, the actions of the live stream harasser could potentially lead to charges under 18 U.S.C. 1503, which addresses influencing or injuring officer or jurors. Here's why. 18 U.S.C., this is AI speaking, 1503 elements. This statute prohibits anyone who corruptly or by threats or force or by any threatening letter or communication, and there were threats against her children. This is how disgusting it has become. Endeavors to influence, intimidate, or impede any grand or petit juror, petit juror means trial juror, or officer in any court of the United States. That includes state courts, okay? Endeavors to influence, intimidate, or impede, such as there's a movement to try to find a complaint of jury misconduct, or potentially to influence jurors that may sit on a civil trial that is now ongoing with the Karen Read situation, or future jurors, okay, to intimidate them, to basically intimidate the juror pool of the community. Endeavors to influence, intimidate, or impede, the key here is the endeavors clause. It doesn't require success, only the attempt to influence or intimidate. The actions you describe, a malicious campaign, around the clock, 24/7 live streams, attacking a juror, making false allegations, showing images of her with her husband, and exposing his identity to the world, making ethnic insults, falsely claiming things about her citizen. Now, these are like different people doing different things, okay? Not like one person doing it all, but just collectively, these are the things being done. A lot of it being done by one person, though. Falsely claiming things about her citizenship, editing video clips to give false statements, and saying horrible things about her children could very well be construed as an endeavor to influence or intimidate a juror, or to impede the due administration of justice. Corruptly. The element generally means acting with improper purpose. There's elements is like specific words in a statute that have to be proven it was done, like intent has to be proven, or specific intent, or corruptly. So the word corruptly in this particular statute means acting with an improper purpose, or with the intent to subvert or undermine the integrity and judicial process. A malicious campaign aimed at discrediting or distressing a juror, which is exactly what's going on, especially if it's tied to their role in a trial, could be seen as corrupt intent. Petite juror, the statute specifically covers petite juror, which are trial jurors. The impact on the justice system. The law aims to protect the integrity of judicial system and ensure jurors can perform their duties free from outside pressure and fear of a retaliation or harassment. If a juror is being targeted in such a pervasive and personal manner due to their service, it directly undermines this principle. Jurisdiction. While the Karen Read trial was a state case, federal charges under 18 U.S.C. 1503 are possible if the harassment involves interstate communications, obviously online, which live streams almost certainly do, or otherwise implicates federal interest in the integrity of justice system, the FBI would have jurisdiction to investigate such matters. Important caveat: whether a prosecutor would bring such charges and whether a jury would convict depends on the specific evidence, the prosecutor's discretion, and how a court interprets that harassment in relation to the elements of the statute. The connection between the harassment and an intent to influence the outcome of the trial or future juror service would be crucial. FBI investigation of Hank Brennan. Could the FBI investigate Hank Brennan for biased public comments about alleged harassment of state witnesses while ignoring the abuse of jurors? This is more complex, as it involves attorney ethics in the bounds of public commentary by lawyers. Oh no, hang on just a second, let me bring that back up. Huh? Bring that, oh no, I hope I didn't lose it. Oh no, I think I just lost it. Well, I accidentally closed it, but what a bummer. But the bottom line is, hang on, let me see if I can have them bring up my last session. I don't think once you close this app, it can't bring it up. But the bottom line is, in the light of the fact that there was suborning of perjury, this says your last session was about the movie Freud's Last Session. I've never even discussed that movie. Oh, no. No. Hang on a second. This is weird. It's saying that I discussed a movie that I've never even heard of. Well, I think I've lost it. Maybe. It brought it up. Oh, it says, you're absolutely right. My apologies. We did indeed discuss the Karen Read case. She was found not guilty of lesser charge. Well, anyways. So basically what AI concluded was, because Hank Brennan was actively engaged in suborning perjury, meaning the Alberts testified in the first trial that their dog never attacked anybody, and they impounded animal bite records to prevent, one, the ability to show the juror that they're lying through their teeth, and two, basically to cover up a crime. And so suborning perjury is a crime, and because the prosecuting attorney, was actively engaged and conspiring with the police to cover up, such as gaslighting the world with a tail light, that the tail light was only very minimally damaged after she bumped into her boyfriend's car, and then the picture they showed at trial, there was nothing left of the tail light. So that was an obvious gaslighting, to take a picture of a video showing a tail light completely intact but for a tiny hole, all the red pieces were there, and then show a picture later. Okay, and then a cop even said, look, I was there, and that's not what that tail light looked like. That is an act of gaslighting, and that is corruption. So the bottom line, absolutely, he can be investigated and should be investigated. So I'm sorry that I lost. I'm going to close the app. But I will continue in my little AI sessions. I like to have conversations, but I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but if I see a podcast of somebody who claims to be a legal analysis, and especially when you get lawyers, they're supposed to be lawyers, and they don't even discuss the statutes, and to me, they're just on a live stream trying to get people to click on them, give them money, and profit off of basically somebody's tragedy. And I wouldn't mind them making money off of it, but they're not even discussing the law. Okay, and you've got people that's not even watched the trial. And so I'm just asking you to, if you're going to really be invested in watching podcasts about the legal analysis of what's happening in the Karen Read trial, please, I beg you to at least attach onto somebody who's at least sharing the law and what the statutes are. Okay, and that's what I'm doing with AI, because AI breaks it down, and shows you. I'm like, show me the law. Show me how they're breaking the law. Don't tell me they're breaking the law. Show me. Apply the facts to the statutes. That's what I'm doing with the AI and the chats, and I will continue to do. So that's it for this one. I will allow the comments once I get done, with my whatever. And so I am a monetized channel now. I don't monetize my videos that are about somebody else's tragedy. I just don't do that. Okay? So I feel like if you feel like you feel encouraged to tip me, go tip Karen Reed. Okay? Go give money to her legal defense because she's still in the battle, right? Okay? Help her. Okay. So anyways, I hope you have a blessed day, and I will continue with my AI chats because they can be very interesting. That's it for now. I hope you have a blessed day. Bye.